Meet John Williams, President of American Guest, your destination source. Learn about his journey and why this destination management company is the most resourceful, trustworthy, and professional partner for travel within the United States of America. John, thank you so much for joining us. It is a pleasure to have you here. I always enjoy when we have the chance to catch up and for me to listen to your story. So it's a pleasure to be able to have you here and for you to share your journey. So before anything else, could you share with us a little bit about the story of American Guest, your journey to building this incredible company?
Absolutely, and thank you for having me, and it's good to see you. And tomorrow we can talk and see everyone makes me feel better because I miss that interaction with everybody in the travel industry. My story actually starts, it actually goes to when I was a very young boy. I had been visiting my dad in Manhattan in his office one day when I think I was about 7, and I drew a picture and I said, and on it, I wrote a desk, and it had his desk, I had my desk, and I wrote it and said, someday we're going to work together. And 30 years later, actually that dream came true. And it actually came after 9/11. I was in Times Square when everything was happening at that moment. And, and very much like, COVID, it was an aha moment. And you go, you know what, life's too short and you need to, focus back on what's important to you. Money's great, but it doesn't buy you happiness. And all you got is family and health. And that day kind of made it for me. So my dad and I spoke and we kept talking, what do we want to do? What do we want to do? And we liked hospitality. We loved it. We had some connections. We had some things. And our company started literally from the ground up in New York City, just after 9/11, focusing on hospitality and concierge services.
Wow. And so very similar situation to what many people are living now, I think, right? I mean, we're going through, especially there's a lot of parallels with 9/11, but specifically for those living in New York, I think the feeling is very similar. I was there at the time. And so tell us about, what did you create because it was hard, it was heavily concierge driven, right?
It was very concierge driven, where we saw an opportunity where at the time, not today, but at the time, there was an opportunity to help hotels have greater control in their hospitality of concierge services within the hotel. That was one. Two, it was also financial. Costs were rising dramatically. They didn't have control over their concierge desks, and they also didn't have control of the services that were being delivered. Concierges were able to be very much entrepreneurs in themselves in their own building. We took control of that and said, well, you as a hotel will have a set team, but we will dictate everything, so it becomes much more streamlined. So we maintained where they were going and how they were getting tickets and how they were doing sightseeing and doing things, so that it reflected positively, not just on the concierge, but on the hotel. Because in the end, they're going to remember the hotel. And we started at one property, Algonquin Hotel on 44th Street, and we grew to 65 hotels, and also was on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, working with the traders and brokers. So it became its own little empire in New York for about 15 years. And then other things changed, the recession, and then the next thing. So much like today's pandemic.
I would imagine if you're managing the concierge of over 60 hotels in Manhattan, I mean, you're dealing with all of those difficult, requests and needs, and can you do this? And can you get me a place there? And I mean, that's the idea of having access and resources and connections and really milking that, because that's what they want, right?
It's everything they want. There's a lot of champagne taste and burger budgets on some places. Others there is no limit, but there's also, is this legal? There's a lot of gray areas and things, and people just say, well, I have money, why, get it done. And the answer from us, and always was, the answer is yes. And then it's making it happen. And some people have, I need it today. And you're like, well, today's already over. How could you do it today? But I think the world of when we started back in 2002 into where we are today, things are much faster, greater. And this impulse to, I have to have it now. If I don't have it now, it's not satisfying. But it was all about it. And it still is today in the travel industry. It's all about relationships. It's who you know. Because, in the end, a lot of people can do things, but it's how you do it and how you deliver it and how it gets done. It's critical. And your relationship with that end user, whoever it is, if you're working with the travel advisor or direct to that client, it's all about your reputation. So we've built our reputation for over 20 years, promising and then coming through and being creative. Oh yeah, sure, I can do it. But people want to feel special. And then you can go to any steakhouse in Manhattan, Miami, New York, Brazil, wherever. It's how you present it is key and making them feel special.
That's so very true, and so much. It's easier said than done, and you better than anybody know that.
Very.
You and I have hit the road together. We've
Yes.
around Mexico and had a
Yes.
fantastic time on our roadshow. And I know your company is also strong on incentive and group, but
Mhm.
our experience has really been in showcasing your company, American Guest, as the curator of incredible experiences throughout the
Right.
entire USA.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about your company, the structure, and
Sure.
how that's all put together? Because I know from my personal experience of seeing how you relate with agencies that you have the speed, you have the knowledge, you have the people, and it's not easy because
No.
a lot of the times companies like yourselves can't manage to say yes, we're in Hawaii, we're in New
Yeah.
York, we're in Las Vegas, because man, those are almost like little countries. There's so much going on there, and it's so diverse. So tell us a little bit. How do you do it? What's the
I got.
secret?
I'm like a Michelin star chef. We just, the secret's in the sauce. It takes 20 years and a lot of continuous development for both personal and professional development, a lot of traveling, a lot of continuous finding out who's best in service, who's got that in, and creating that relationship with that person who can make it happen and saying, hey, listen, I need your assistance and I'm not going to use you. I'm going to appreciate you. And while this is a, how do I put it, priceless experience or thing I'm asking you for, I'm going to help you on the next thing you need. And I'm also going to be respectful of your time. I did one back in, what was it, over the winter for a very, very, very well-known person globally. I mean, billionaire, and they wanted to do something on a ski slope, and they wanted to go to a restaurant that nobody could get into. We made it happen, so much so that they tried to do it, they couldn't get it done. We did. And the
Yeah.
person's like, how'd you do it? I said, don't worry about that. That's my job. I've done things where we took a group to Stanford University, met with the professor, and had an inclusion and immersion into their campus community and felt like they were students. I did one where it may be a hot topic, but put it aside. I got a group into the White House, but afterwards, besides having their private tour, had a private lunch with a former director of the CIA. Those are wow moments. You can't buy that. You can't sell it. You have to have a relationship, and somebody has to say, hey, I can do something. Would this be attractive to you? So you have to be creative and be able to go to your, no longer the Rolodex, but the e-Rolodex and come up with those things. And you do that by knowing your clients, by asking the right questions and knowing that you have people behind you, because it's not my White House. I'm not the CIA. I'm not Stanford. I'm not these things. People behind you who can say, John, American Guest, will back you up. And we've built that reputation of saying, hey, you're going to protect me, meaning the person who's helping us, and we will also protect you. And that's what, and when I say protect, I mean not embarrass or cause any problems or anything like that, because a lot of people happen to do it, but you don't want to advertise it. Those are things we're very discerning travelers, especially in the high net worth world. And they want to make sure that, yeah, they do it, but not everybody knows about it. So there's that, they can tell people, but you can't. And so there's that, you have to balance it.
Yeah. No, and I think you're very good also at really digging deep and understanding the client, because sometimes they think they want something, but they have no idea that what they actually want is something completely different. And that's
Very
really
much so.
also the connection with the travel advisor to then go back to the client and say, look, what about this? Right. I mean, I think you've
You
had
bring up,
great
yeah.
stories of that.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, because a lot, we've had people say, I want to come to the States on this period and I want to go here and I want to do that. And I say, well, yes, I understand it, but do you know this and this and this? And it's not to dissuade them. I still want them to come, but I want to educate them and tell them. And they go, well, nobody else told us that. I go, well, my job is not to sell you. My job is to support and educate you and give you the information so that you have the trip and that experience that you're looking for actually happens. Because yeah, you can come to New York on New Year's, but I want to tell you how you can do it. You can come to Miami during whatchamacallit,
Art
the
Basel.
fest, Art
Probably.
Basel. Thank you. That's what I was going to
Yeah.
say, the Art Fest, Art Basel. But there's, how do you want to experience it? And I can get you into these places, but this is how we're going to do it, because I don't want you to feel that you're not important. I still want to feel like that we can roll out the red carpet. Or if you're going to go to have an experience at Fashion Week, or if you want to go to CES, unfortunately it's not happening this year, but and you're a very high tech person and still meet with some of these people, do meet and greets. We've done those with very famous people. How can we get that done? There's other ways. So yes, you want to be there, but we're going to go this way. I know you want to go this way, but just let you know. And every time we've guided the client in the end, they're like, yeah, you were right. I go, it's not about being right. It's just, we know what we're talking about, much like most traveler advisors do.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I'm curious. You've been very active always, also on that group and incentive business. I know that it's been core to your business. I know that it's an important segment of the industry, and we all know that's changing. I
Very
don't
much
think
so.
it's not gonna leave. I think people are still gonna have that need to unite and to connect. How is that? How's that changing? How do you see that movement?
It's I will say this right now, it's frozen, but it's beginning to thaw. And when I say thaw, there's a little bit of water on that ice. A lot of the industry has, and as we all know, went originally and just jumped right into the whole Zoom idea. That is starting. Obviously, we all have that fatigue, and we're past that. Now it's all into making these experiences online. Everybody's done the cocktails or the music person, and or we've had the one-on-one talks, and then it's taken it to the next level. So we've seen a lot of that in the incentive the world. The next step, as the ice breaks, and I hope that happens the end of 2020, early 2021, is it's going to be a hybrid world. So there's going to be those groups of people, whatever size of the group, that are going to say, yes, I'm comfortable, I can, I want, or I need to travel. Then there's going to be the same people that would like to be there. They can't because of health reasons. They can't because kids are still home from school. They can't because of business restrictions or finance or whatever. So you're going to have, we have these programs where we're going to have, yes, this is the in-person experience, and then this is the home hybrid. They're at home, and marrying the two when you never had that before. So you do some things in advance, send some stuff home. You make sure you have the right cameras, the right lighting, but it's going to be very technical and scripted because you have to address both environments. I'm going to one on Monday where they just said they're sending us stuff. It's going to be in our hotel room. And then we put on our TV to have our cocktail hour. I'm like, this is really going to be weird. Having a cocktail hour by yourself in a hotel room at a conference. These are the things that is changing.
Wow, that is different. And do you foresee that the groups are going to be smaller? Are they going to break down into smaller pods and kind of unite as well? Or are they waiting for that moment to gather everybody together?
Much like the hybrid on how the events, it's going to be really, I think, back to a local restrictions wherever that event experience is allowed to happen. So right now, in New York, you can't go above 50 people. In Vegas, they just went up to 1,000, but only 1,000 people in a group in a conference, but only up to 250 together at any one time. Nashville's at 500. Everybody has different rules, and I think that's the real challenge for everybody because it's, well, I can, I can't, I maybe, and today I can, but what can I do next week? So until we can get to that symmetry across all markets and more comfortable, it's going to be an uphill battle, but it will come back, and actually starting to. I just booked a group of 150 people in Vegas for last week, so it's starting to, but it's just to get back to where we were. It's going to take a long time.
Wow, no, that's interesting. Can you tell us a little bit about how you surfed this storm? I think you. It's a family business. Your father and yourself been managing it very closely. You're very hands-on. I remember every single inquiry, you were in it, you were looking at it, you were participating in the creation of it. How have you both, as leaders in the business, as entrepreneurs, managed this storm that hasn't ended yet? So you're still navigating it. But how? Tell us a little bit about that.
First and foremost, goes back to the beginning of our conversation. It goes back to, and in life, go back to prior experiences that may be similar, not the same, but similar. 9/11, Sandy, Superstorm and Sandy, that was a hurricane that hit New York, or to blackouts, or to the recession, and relying on, hey, I got through that. I will get through this. How did I do that? And for us, yes, it is a family. My father and I've got a lot of other siblings, but they're not involved. And for he and I said, well, how did we get here? We got here because of our team. You could do a lot of things, but if you don't have the right team, or as the book says, the right people on the bus, you're not going to go anywhere. So we have the right people on the bus. So in the beginning, it was take care of our team. And today it's still about taking care of our team. And we need them more than they need us, in a sense, because we rely on them. yes, we are personally involved in just about every inquiry and thing that passes it, because it is my company, it is my name, it is my reputation, and I'm building that, and people know me and then they know the company. So I need that team though to support everything I'm promising, everything that I'm saying I'm committing to, everything I'm saying I'm doing. After that, we said, well, where do we see this world going? Where do we see we're doing? And we saw a lot of people saying, oh, we're here for you, we're here for you, we're here for you. And the talk became very it just became soft, and it didn't relate. And I said, this isn't working. We created a live telecast that is actually becoming much of a, we're shaking up the industry and doing things and saying, well, we're not just going to talk about it, we're doing it. And so we put together live telecast, not a webinar, not a Zoom, bringing in best in class people. We had Bob Bejan, director of media, all meetings and events globally for Microsoft, on my last episode, and talking about what's different, how things are going. So what we want to do is, we're not selling, we're not doing anything. We want to bring people that can share information with our audience, travel advisors, EAs, PAs, meeting planners, event planners, so that they can make decisions. And not just say, we're here for you. We want to give the information so that they know we are there for them. We were the first company to ever do a live telecast from the Edge, New York City, which is the newest observatory in Manhattan. We got into hotels. We have something coming up in Vegas and Miami. We're going to be doing a live telecast, but it's going to be in multiple locations. I have some other cool things coming on, a Boeing in our next episode coming on. I have some major CVBs to be announced. So we're reaching people we never spoke to previously and saying, how can we help you get your message out? That's what we're doing.
Wow. And how do we access this telecast? Where do we go?
It's under, we're one of the co-producers. It's called savethemeetings.org. So SAVE, themeetings.org. And it's saving the industry, and not just domestically, globally. We even got Grubhub on the last one, where we took 1,000 people in our audience. We had over 3,000 and delivered lunch to them that day. So instead of just saying, we're here for you, we supported 1,000 different restaurants or venues delivering food to our audience, people who aren't making money right now and doing things, and said, we're going to make sure we touch the five senses. We had John Rich, who's a country music star, and perform for us.
I heard it on the radio at 6 o'clock news. They said you better not drive if you've been on the booze.
So we're doing things very unorthodox and trying to say, let's shake this up and do it differently. But it's under the savethemeetings.org.
Unbelievable. That's incredible. And I think it's completely, it's all about don't tell me, show me, right? And that's
Right.
what you're being
Correct.
able to put on the show. And I can't even say virtually, because it's becoming physical.
It is physical. Yeah, we're doing that. And that's why we did it the last way, that way, because we said people were getting Zoom fatigue, or just, this fatigue. And so we needed to do things to reach out across that screen and say, and while we can't see you, how can we connect with you? And those are the things we're doing. And the next one's got some more things, and we're trying to do things that nobody else is doing, and things that you would never have thought of doing, or like, that's crazy. Anything goes right now. Do it. If you hasn't been done, try it. You got nothing to lose.
It's true. No, it's just keep doing it and try it out. And do you think that this initiative, for example, or others that you've created during the pandemic, are going to stick? I mean, do you see this living beyond the storm?
I do see it sticking. I also think at some point people are going to say, I don't want it, but it's becoming part of our repertoire. It's part of our daily operations. So while I don't think it'll remain 100%, because we do need to get back to our offices, we do need to be having our meetings or our lunches and our breakfasts and our things, this is here to stay. It's a question of how much it becomes part of our life, but it is here to stay. It's going to be much like up to us on how much we let these darn cell phones in our lives, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, and all these other mediums that we have today, and a balance. But this is here to stay. Yeah.
So this group that you said that you just had for next week, if you compare it with what, many of these, you say, well, you have a group for next week, but you used to have this, many of them happening simultaneously.
Correct.
Yeah, they would flow. What's so different about it? Have you seen the expectations from the client's point of view changing? How is that? What does that look like?
Right now it's, I mean, a couple of things. The window where, used to be, when we said, oh, you're coming in 2 months, that was a short window, I got to move quick, or it was a year. I'm even actually working on something for 2022 right now. These windows are within 2 weeks. It's incredibly, because people are going, okay, I can get out before I might have to not be able to be allowed back in wherever you are. And the whole challenge right now is, wherever you're going, are they prepared? And then are you comfortable with whatever preparations they've set up? So is it that hotel have the suites or the casitas or the dining, and how are they going to do that? How are you going to feel comfortable in that environment? And then any activities you want to do, how are they making sure that you as an individual or a group will be able to experience that without interacting or affecting others? Biggest thing though is coming down to liability. Who's liable if somebody gets sick, and how you do that? I was on a thing yesterday. Somebody said a McDonald's location somewhere was sued because the person claims they got COVID from going into McDonald's. I'm like, it sounds like it's the hot coffee person who sued, and then it says hot coffee on all the McDonald's things. I'm like, what's it gonna say? I was like, come on, how do you prove that? But it really comes down to a liability either on the company or the individuals who are coming on that trip, and then down to whatever experience and things. And it's a comfort level. Wear the mask, not wear the mask, and how you do that, and wherever you're going. And it's going to be down to an individual comfort. And so that's what we're really seeing. So in this case, this client was comfortable. They could get to the location either flying or driving within a zone, and the people who were attending okayed it. And then the hotel had to do certain things. They actually had to get permission from the local authority saying they have to document. Before you could do anything, there's a lot of documentation going on saying, here's what we're doing, because if they exceed that, and anybody in social media or gets it, they get major fines, shut down, liquor license, close the doors on a hotel, venue, activity, whatever. So there's a lot. And the challenge I see, and I think we all see, is all these vendors, all these suppliers have nothing coming in, but have all these expenses out just to accommodate these things. We need to be as supportive as we can, because they need our help. So I'm encouraging everybody, travel when you feel comfortable as soon as you can. We need to help all these people.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's the realization that every step you take, even if you don't get on a plane, if you get on a car, if you go to the restaurant next door, you are moving microeconomies, and that is so fundamental to the well-being of all of us in travel, in food and beverage. And it's very important to keep it moving, forward if you're comfortable, as you said. So there is a lot of pressure on people that are not ready yet, and that's something we have to be very sensitive to as well. So and it's interesting because the due diligence that you have to do now in your job of putting these events together is much greater. It's not just the experience, but it's all about the paperwork and the due diligence and the making sure the liability part of it is, and that everything is safe, right? It has to be.
It's
crazy.
safe. And then, are they going to be there? This is the other challenge. Is that hotel going to be open? Is that restaurant experience there? Is that activity there? And the people that we spoke to before, are they there? Where'd they go? And who's my point of contact now? So I will say, one of the things we've been doing these last 7.5 months is maintaining those conversations and making sure if there was a change in whatever, we know who to reach out to now. Or if they limited their hours, and a lot of places they said, well, we're not doing, our restaurant for 7 days a week, we're doing 4, and it's only on these hours in those 4. Or the hotel, yes, it's only open for 3 days a week, or that experience is only available for 2. So there's all these things of, yeah, sure, we can do it, is now, well, can you do it on Tuesday? And no, we're not open because they have less staff, they have it. So it's the liability, and then are they there? And that's another challenge.
Yeah, it's a moving target, right? You create something and then it moves. That's for sure. That's incredibly hard. And it's nice to be able to speak to you. You have the expertise. You're doing it right now, and you're gaining. It's a re-education, right? It's like learning to walk again. It's insane. And I think the amazing great thing is when you're a family-owned business, it's always nice to know that you and your dad are not going to go anywhere, right?
No, we know we can trust one another, and we know that we have each other's back. Correct. So we are, I've known him since birth. So it's very much, he knows where I am and I know where he is. So,
Yeah,
and then
he knows
having
where
the
you came
team,
from.
exact, very much so. I'm very fortunate in that. And in times like this, it's not, it's nice to know that you have somebody you can have an open, honest conversation with. And it's not easy. This is not easy for anybody, both professionally and personally. I mean, I'm sitting in a bunker of my house right now. There's better places to be right now. I'd like to be in Manhattan in my office with the background where right now you're looking at doors. I have the Empire State Building. That's my view behind me.
I
Not
know, I've
today.
been there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's hard. Work, with kids at home, and any moment anybody go up to this door, and so that work from home. Everybody say, "Oh, work from home is great." Yeah, there's work from home, and then there's work from home with kids. No, those don't mix.
Well, it kind of relates to work from home from the basement, right? So you're
Yes.
like running away, trying to get somewhere quiet. I completely empathize. So, John, just the last question. When you think about everything you're going through, and if you imagine that, I know a lot of people in our industry right now are looking at options or thinking, is this a time to pivot? Do I stick to this? Is this what I should do? Should I become an entrepreneur? What do you think what has been your key talent or skill that has really helped you pull through? Can you share that a little bit,
Sure.
just as a maybe an inspiration or a motivation for those that are considering, taking the jump?
There's actually probably 3 points I would have. One, ignore the noise. Ignore all the stuff going on. Turn off your Facebook, turn off your Instagram, and having to keep up and do pictures. All those things are nice and what people say you have to do. Ignore that and go back to your principles. What do you enjoy? Because back in 2001, when those planes hit Manhattan, it had to go back to what makes me happy. What do I going to enjoy? So money's great, but doesn't buy happiness. So where you can find that balance? So ignore the noise of all the things and find it. And if you know what, if you really love to cook and you're a cook, go cook and build up. Get your mobile van and do that. Or if it's to travel, go travel. And if you can somehow create a revenue stream like these Instagram and these followers and get these followers, go for it. Or if it's to be a teacher, whatever it is, ignore all the noise and focus on that. And when distractions come around, obviously a family, but there's been a lot of distractions even during this. And I've said, I got to put this aside. I got to do this. Focus on that. So there's a couple things. Your team, whoever those people are, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, your family and your advisory board, maybe it's not official, but those people you can have that conversation that will give you honest feedback, not so critical, but not beating you up, and have those people that you can say, hey, I'm trying to can I continue to rely on you and support? I want your answer, but don't beat me up and help guide me. Last but not least, for me in the travel industry, and like yourself, has been continue talking to everybody. You are not alone. It's kind of like in life, you're not the only one who's ever gone through this, will go through this, has gone through this. Whatever it is, talk to everyone, because by that you go, oh, wait a minute. Oh, is that how you solved it? Or is that how you did? Oh, I'm not the only one. We're not the only ones. People say, well, John, how you doing? I said, this is not a thing I caused. It's nothing I did. It is a situation I'm in, but there's nothing I did to deserve it. I have to overcome it and come through it. And how do you do that? Talking to people. And I've been talking to people like yourself. I've talked to Australia. I've talked to South Africa. I've talked to Europe. I've talked to South America, Asia, and realize this globe is connected and we're all going through it. And that's been the saving grace for me, going, we're okay because everybody else is going through the same thing. So there's that comfort in everyone going, we're in it with you.
Yeah, that's lovely. No, and that's such an important message. I think a little bit of humbleness, to say to connect with people goes a long way. John, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
We're going to head into some Q&As now live, so you can answer some of the questions. But thanks a million, and I hope to see you in person very, very soon.
Very much so. Thanks for having me, Tina.